Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm just gonna pick up right where I left off last time, and hope anyone who wants to can join me. I don't usually do live streaming. There'll be some music playing. I don't usually do live streaming on Wednesdays because I try not to, get in the way of folks listening to like Warhammer Weekly and that kind of thing. But I just need to get these done, and I had my good friend Ben reach out to me from the East Coast saying he was looking for something to do some hobby to. So, give me 1 second. I'm just pulling up some La Musica here. And as always, we'll skip ahead in this playlist a bit. Here we go. Doom and Darkness. Hi, Doug. Hello, hello. How are things down in Australia? This is your guys's... You're coming into your summer now, right? It's your spring. Because we have our fall. Right, okay. Everything's backwards or forwards, depending on your opinion, I suppose. Right on. So, okay. So basically what I'm doing right now is getting all of my highlight colors out that I need. So Ulth 1 Grape for the gray dudes. I got Dawnstone for this guy, who's the skunk one. We got... What am I missing? Yeah, that'll work for that. Okay, sweet. We are set. Thursday, and yeah, starting to warm up. Oh, yeah. Sweet. Bought my Cities Battle Tome today. Awesome. Hello, everyone who's just filling in the chat. Hello, hello. Yes, I am. The thing is, I never watch Warhammer Weekly live, or at least I rarely do. Not because I don't like it, but because I'd rather listen to it. I need stuff to listen to when I'm at work. That's why I save it. I hoard content for myself until I have the most opportune time to really listen to it. And so I'm excited to hear about their coverage and their thoughts on the book. Not as excited as I am to hear Vince gush about the Ironjaws stuff. But yeah, it should be a pretty cool thing. Can't believe you're counter-programming me on playing a live stream. Yes. So Jack was really subtle there and wanted to say, hey everybody, Jack from Rerolling Ones, yes, that Rerolling Ones, is going to be on a live stream here in a little bit on the channel. It's a Twitch channel, Dimensional Cascade, which are a local group of guys who play Age of Sigmar up here locally. Don't know too much about them. I know they used to play fantasy battles and then took like 2 years or so off when AOS dropped because they weren't jiving with the game at launch. Happens. So, but that's cool. You do you. I'm just painting. If anyone wants to go watch Warhammer Weekly or they want to watch something else, that's cool. But I have an event coming up on the 19th that I need 6 Goregruntas for 4. So my time crunch is real. Jack, what list are you playing? Are you playing your shootcast? I know they're kind of more on the competitive focus over there. I mean, sort of, because like one of the guys has an amazing looking Gorat army, which is not like top tier, like it's not like a meta change like that, but it's just a stunning looking thing. Yeah, okay, right on. Actually, a little bit of White Scar. Stormcast versus Slanesh. Which one are you playing? I actually am curious because you own both, so I'm curious. You can't paint unless people watch you now, pretty much. It's the content curse of like, man, I could have my camera on. No, it's mainly just because I like talking to people. For the most part, people ask some great questions that get me thinking, and I've been, I've been struggling to pull my head out of the Iron Jaws book long enough to do Free People's Lore. My goodness, I'm having a blast with it. There we go. How often do you paint off stream? Weekend mornings I usually get up. So I try to do more silent activities so my wife can sleep in. So definitely during weekend times in the morning. And what else? That's pretty much it, honestly. Most of the time I get home from work and I just turn the camera on because I have everything set up to do so. It's kind of the goal whenever I try to paint, is just, to use that time to chat with people. I think for a lot of folks, I've gotten emails about it from some viewers who are just tend to be very grateful. That's like, oh, like even though it's not exciting content, like, it's not nearly as riveting as storytelling and that kind of stuff. For a lot of folks, it's just motivating to see, like, if you chip away an hour here and an hour there, that kind of thing, like you can really get something done. Because you hear about that online, but seeing it happen, when someone like sees, oh, Doug built the whole Stormcast army and painted it like, in almost a week. Like that's what that actually looks like. And so I think that helps people. Well, I know it helps some people. I don't know if it helps everybody. Let's see. Same here. I spend 5 minutes in the Cities book before I close it and go back to the Orcs tome. Yeah, it's just so fun. The Cities book honestly hurts my brain. There's in terms of rules, the lore is incredible and I love it. And I'm actually gonna usually the last several battle tomes I've given away to friends because Patreon doesn't let me raffle anymore. But I don't really profit off of them. I try to make it a point to not make any money off of it. But this Cities of Sigmar one is enough lore that I'm like, I'm just going to hold on to this. That sounds awesome. But the actual rules for like building armies, I just my brain melts. I made the joke to 1 second here, let me get another paint. Made the joke to Jack that the two books that just confound me for some reason is Gloomspite Gits and Cities of Sigmar now. Where Gloomspite Gits, I look at it and I'm like, okay, I see a bunch of rules, but I don't see how they work together. They all seem kind of random, not random if they're effective or not, but random, I don't understand how this builds a... What's the win condition for this army? And I just kind of stare at it for a while. I'm like, I don't get it. But conversely, I look at the Cities of Sigmar and I'm like, I know enough to know this is amazing, and there's a lot of ways to play this army. I don't know enough to put any of those ways together. And then I'm just close book. Walk away. George Shaw, question. Did the General's Handbook 19 hurt the Idenith Deepkin? If you know, and join the vids. Someone who knows more about Deepkin would have to answer. I'm not actually very familiar with that particular army. Local buddy Parker tried selling me basically an unbuilt eel army that he bought and then never went around to, and I was just like, I'm drowning, buddy. I got so many projects going on between the orcs and the the Maggotkin, which is more my slow grow project. I was like, I can't take anything else on, man. I was like, thank you so much for thinking of me, but my brain is already melting. And that is me showing maturity and restraint. Demon Darkness says... only as far as points increase on eels. Yeah, still good. Yeah, I mean, I think from what I understand from folks who have played that army quite a bit is what I think folks really want is a revised book that makes it so that it's not just eels that are pretty much the best option. Which I think there's some things that are just outside of what points are able to do. Like incentivizing you to take certain things and not take certain things it's just hard with just points. So, yeah, it's unfortunate. You just need to get a smidge on here. We wanted to play with giant turtles, exactly. Let's see. You're playing the Stormcast. Okay, awesome. Check. It's kind of what I thought, but then for just the briefest of moment, because I don't remember seeing the Cascade guys have Slaanesh, but obviously I don't know them terribly well. Yupa, okay. I paint an hour a night and still takes me a month per unit. Yeah, and that's the thing. I do not see myself as being a terribly great painter, but I do say my strength is in efficiency, right? And I talked about this with Brent from Rolling Ones, because he's struggled to paint armies before in the past, and of course I'm over here like burning armies left and right. But I was just like, it's not about getting the best effect for me personally. It's about for me the fun is what's the quickest way that I can make that effect happen, but do it 60 times, right? Clan rats or plague bearers or something like that. Like, how can I make this the most efficient way of doing this effect? And so usually it's a combination of contrast paints now that they're out, and the layering stuff. I don't know, yeah. That, for me, that's kind of the fun challenge of like the raw efficiency, which is weird because like I don't have that in any other aspect of my life. Like I don't like keep time and time things and make things as efficient as possible in literally any other aspect of my life. It's just this. Let's see. Any mention of Seraphon on the Orc book? Not that I've seen yet. I haven't, honestly, so I went with Cities of Sigmar first for reading the lore. So I say not yet, but I honestly haven't really dove too much. I did like a cursory glance of like reading the unit entries and that kind of stuff, and I didn't see any real changes, but yeah. Hopefully they get a new book pretty soon. That's one that I'm very excited for, is Seraphon. A lot of folks asking about him recently. Let's see. My comments are getting deleted. Oh, are they getting deleted? Weird. As long as it's not a link, it should be just fine. Question: how is it possible for GDO to use such amazing canon imagery with the lore of Greywater, but still keep them locked in Ironweld? I don't understand the question. Like it's still there. It's part of the Ironweld. It's how they all work together. I mean, even in our real world, like military, you have like tank divisions, which is like a separate thing because they need separate things to support them. Let's see. I know everyone's going crazy about the all tank lists, and I'm just like, yeah, it's a cool idea. I wouldn't think to ever do it for real. Unless you go all out like what's his name, Ben Johnson, and you do like full conversions on every single one of them. Like, whoa. Let's see. Is this just the Iron Jaws army or a big Waaagh? It can be either. Right now, so the specific list that I'm building just to make things easy on my own brain is going to be Iron Jaws, like what I'm taking to this event that's coming up locally. But I don't plan on just sticking with Iron Jaws like permanently. I actually have 30 more boys and 10 Board Boy Maniacs, like the elite version of the Cav. I'm actually going to end up selling the More Boys just because I don't like the way that their paint is coming out. For the first time, I tried the Orc Flesh contrast paint. I was just like, I just don't really dig it. So I'm actually going to clear them out to a local guy who wants to buy some. But other than that, I'm going to keep the board rider dudes that I have because they are pretty sweet. 30 more boys. Oh yeah, more and more boys. See, here's the problem with the more boys, okay? The way they structured the big wall is very interesting to me. So it used to be in the Bone Splitters book, and it still is now, that if you go all Bone Splitters, More Boys and Board Boy Maniacs become battle line, okay? Like, so you could just have an army of your just super elite guys. I say super elite, they're not vastly different from the more basic Savage Orc dude, but regardless, they're more elite. And sorry, I'm just getting the paints here. And that was really cool to me. And then with the new book, so if you go with Bone Splitters, again, they are still battle line. That's awesome. They didn't lose anything. But if you want to play in the Great Big Waw, which is like the combined forces part, they aren't battle line. So they're only battle line in Bone Splitters. It's like, well, okay, so I have 30 of a unit. And I don't know. And then I'm not a massive fan of the paint job, so it's like, why don't I just clear them out, get some more boxes, start as if I was starting a brand new army with, your basic Savage Orcs that are always battle line. They're a lot better in the book, I think. If nothing else, like, they'll complement in a big wall the forces that I have from Iron Jaw, just because they're more bodies. Like, frankly, that's kind of like their big strength, is just being around. So I think that's kind of the path I'm headed down. And then, like, I like the paint job on the boar dudes enough to I'll just keep those. That's fine. Let's see. Just started a Deepkin army, loving it. Thinking of doing the Ally 6 of Wood and Sea Battalion. Okay, right on. Question: is there a lore reason firearms aren't widespread in AOS? I realize it's a fantasy game and it would be boring to do so. I'm just curious if there's a lore reason why it's only KO and such. So there are a few factions that wield guns, but the ones that do are very, like, prominent. So, like, Free People has the Dispossessed and cannons and guns and that kind of stuff. But they are kind of spread everywhere, right? So, like, even though it's just one army, it represents a lot of the world, which is why we are all waiting on this book so flippin' long. So that's kind of something to keep in mind. As far as, like, why few factions do it, some have to do with they shun technological prowess necessary to reach that point. Like the orcs, they don't, who wants to sit around and do science? And you can just go punch something. What else? That's the big one, honestly. A lot of it has to do with how they work with the environment. Like the Deepkin, obviously being mostly underwater, don't have any reason to, like, have guns that are just gonna get soaked and the gunpowder doesn't work, kind of thing. So yeah, that's what I would say is they're more prevalent than you might think, just based on being only in a few armies, but that represents them being a lot of places. Let's see. Make sure I don't fall behind here. Fancy brushes, what brand? These are from Games and Gears. I like them quite a bit. I'm going to do a review on them here in a little bit. 30, yeah, 30 more boys is like a drop in the bucket. That's the thing about Bone Splitters, man. It's the numbers, right? And that's the thing I was like, I mentioned, I think the last stream, that like I didn't get why Bone Splitters were good, and then all of a sudden I had this like epiphany. I was just like, whoa, it just kind of hit me. And it's because I keep thinking of unit sizes in terms of numbers like you see in Iron Jaws, but the truth of the matter is it's not like that. It's not like that at all. It's much more like you see in Bone Splitters, you know, because you have total access to them in the Great Wall thing. Yeah, why not? Field them. Put all of them on the table. Forgive the cracking, I'm sorry, I know it makes noise. Alright. Got my first box of Bone Splitters ready to be built. Traded away a Plague Furnace for it. Nice. Let's see. Just played a heavy Boar Boy Maniacs list last night against Fire Slayers. Tables them on turn 3. Never thought it was possible to table Fire Slayers. Dang, Cody, that's awesome. Tell me, did you go with the Icebone War Clan thing, or did you just run, you know, base Bone Splitters or some other thing? Because the only one of the like sub factions or war clans, whatever you want to call them, like the Stormhost equivalents, that I don't like in the new book is the Icebone ones, and that actually was my favorite in the last book. So I'm kind of curious. I just feel like, I mean, I understand why they didn't keep their rules the same as far as like freezing an enemy and not letting them activate. That's a little bit brutal, but I thought it was super cool. But I think in our modern age of where AOS is right now, that's probably fine to get rid of. I ran Drakfoot. Oh yeah, so the Berserkers had no beard save. Nice. Well, I figured it was either that or you just ran at him with such sheer numbers of attacks that the save was irrelevant, which is also something that's possible. Let's see. Yeah, okay, or not. I'm sorry, I was reading some of the comments. Awesome. Okay. So, yeah, and I'm doing some of the straps all over the boar. Getting ideas for cities has me wanting to crank out some of my Stormcast backlog. Yeah, the only bummer with that is that, what was it, only every 4 units can be a Stormcast? So you can't, I mean, I remember when I was thinking about waiting off on cities to see what that book was like to play, I was like, oh, this will just be my, my new Stormcast battle tome. It didn't quite pan out that way. Let's see. I think Hagnar will get wrecked by Drakfoot. Hagnar's the Daughters of Cain one that like gives them all the crazy saves, right? We don't have like a. Well, I guess we do have a tournament like Daughters of Cain player, but I think he tries kind of out there lists. He's been playing a lot of Chaos lately, so I haven't seen it. Let's see. been missing out, or are you just using shades for the fur? It is a few different contrast paints. So you put a lighter contrast paint on first, and then you put a darker one of the same kind of tone-ish, and then pull it downward. So like Skeleton Horde, and then like what's it called? Agros Dunes is another one. A little bit darker than that. You pull it down so it kind of blends together. So all the fur is lighter at the bottom, and then darker at the top, which is kind of what I was going for. And I think they're turning out pretty well so far. I like them. The other thing about contrast I find is that I tend to be very messy when I paint them. And that doesn't bother me because as long as you work in a way that you paint the deepest part of a model and work your way outward, never had a problem. Like it saves me a lot of time. I know a lot of folks were like, oh, if you miss at all, you have to like bust out the gray seared brush on primer and do it all over again, so you're not saving any time. It's like, no. Just work from the deepest inside out, and generally I don't have to do that a whole lot. But what it does mean is that it takes a little bit for you to see like the full progress, because until you clean up those little areas, there's always little things that you miss, like a nook here and there, like on this guy's patch. That guy had a bit of his tail that wasn't quite painted. I'll get to it later. Let's see. Just keeping up on the chat. Honestly, I was thinking of running Icebones because you get to customize your command trait, and you can. Honestly, I was thinking of running Icebones because you get to customize your command trait, and then if you cast the double movement spell on a big block of boars, then you can fly and boomerang out. Customize your command trait, but doesn't Icebone lock you into a command trait? Maybe I'm just not remembering it right. Like what the actual command trait was. But yeah, no, it's cool. I want to see all the lists. Actually, the real list that I want to see, and I'm dead set on building it, is a Bone Grins list. Because if you all haven't read the Bone Grins rules, I think it's one of the most compelling things out there, where the way the ability works is, if your opponent is within 12 inches of a Bone Grins unit at the beginning of the charge phase, they have to charge it. And I love that rule so flippin' much, because my first thought is like, oh yeah, just put on cogs. All my stuff goes faster, right? I already got faster boars. And then position them in weird places, and now that he's getting bonus moves that he cannot refuse, my opponent, meaning I'm gonna like just pull his forces apart. Might not do a whole lot in terms of like killing them, but if I can take away decisions from my opponent, that sounds awesome. And I think it'll just for the people who aren't ready for it, it'll just wreck them. I don't know why that one stands out as just like, that is cool. Yes, please. It makes me think of the old Slaanesh, what do you call it? Host abilities that were in the GHB, where you get all this crazy awesome speed, but you have to charge. You don't get a choice. And so people just wouldn't touch that because they're like, oh yeah, well, I just don't want to lose control of my army. But it's like, now you can put that on somebody else. That's awesome. I read a lot of people complaining that rule is broken as it can't be countered. I haven't heard anyone talk about Bone Grins. I've only heard people complain about Drakfoot and the ignoring of after saves and that kind of thing. But that's the thing, is like, to play the Bone Grins, right? you're playing full bone splitters. You can't do that in like the big wall or anything like that. And if you're doing that, you have some definite decided weaknesses as an army, right? The bone splitters, they got better, like straight up, but they didn't get like powerhousey. You know, I don't. Everyone's still got a 6-up save. 2 wounds, which is nice, but like, you know, once they start to burn away, they burn away very quickly. So I think those kinds of things, like the movement tricks and stuff like that, I think that's the lifeblood. You got to be a savvy player. I don't think it's broken either. Let's see. Getting my Iron Jaws delivery tomorrow, and I was thinking dark fur like Rhinox to contrast hard with the Mephiston red-y armor of mine. That's a great idea. Makes the armor pop. These guys are going to have the blue armor that I do with my Iron Jaws. These guys here. Riding on their armor, so I should pop off that too. Let's see. Any reason you're not using the Goregrunta fur contrast for the Goregruntas? I have this guy. Basically, I'm not always a huge fan of like having them all look the same. I like when there's a lot of variety in the beasts. So what I did was I have 2 gray, 2 with the brown, 1 guy that's a leader who is painted to look like a skunk, and then a Goregrunta guy. Just wanted to mix it up a bit. I really like the gray and white fur is my favorite kind of fur in general. Icebone says, a Weird Knob Maniac General must take this command trait. It doesn't say you have to make Weird Knob your general. Oh, Cody, yes. Okay, that's cool. That's the same thing. I just haven't read the Bone Splitter stuff much, but they have the exact same ruling for Dechappas, which is what I'm taking. Like their thing is if you have a Weird Knob Shaman general, you have to take XYZ, and I'm just not going to have a general. So that's cool. I didn't see that the Icebone also allowed that. That's an interesting... That's a very interesting way to balance allegiances, or not allegiances, but those little sub-factions that we haven't seen yet, where it's like part of the balance might just be because you can take whatever you want as an artifact in terms of how it all works. Which, I mean, I'm down for that. You already made a whole bunch of cool artifacts in the book. Why make more redundant ones? So stick a battalion in there, get yourself an ethereal mega boss on Maw Crusher with the Amethyst Amulet or whatever it's called. Or you can give them Ironclad. The 2 don't stack, but... let's see... Mogwai Man, Lack of Rend. Yeah, Lack of Rend is one of the big, I think, clinchers. And I mean, like, they have some ways of doing mortal wounds, but I don't think they got like, you know, even with their spells and stuff like that, they don't have like a myriad of ways, like a Skaven level, to like barf mortal wounds on an enemy. So I don't see anything wrong with it. Made a Dark Elf City list, which is nautical themed. Someday we'll have to play your Nurgle Pirates. Awesome. Bunch of ballistas, buffed with Ordinator and blast weapons from a Relictor. Oof, Bone Splitters. Wait, why are you saying oof, Bone Splitters in that? You mean like to shoot Bone Splitters, you mean? There's, to me, one of the most fun rules about the Bone Splitters, and that one that I've always loved, and I don't know, Mogwai Man, if you love them in spite of this, or you love them because of it like me, So the big thing with their allegiance ability is they get a 6-up save that can't go away. Like, no amount of rend can take away their 6-up save. And that just to me is so funny because it always happens at the best and worst times. Oh yeah, in case people were thinking bone splitters are broken. Yeah, totally. I mean, you know, anything that clears basic hordes will definitely clear out the bone splitters for sure. But let's see, you're done. You got the straps done, and then this guy. Okay. I don't know why. That just really appeals to me. Of just, it's what I think the Fire Slayer should have. You know what I mean? Where it's just like something that's just super tough as nails. Can't get rid of it. I think it's just the right amount of random and suspense when you roll a bunch of dice. May take our lives, but they can't take our 6-up saves. Exactly. It works 14% of the time, every time. Let's see, that's a great horde staying power roll. Oh yeah, yeah, because you can account for it, right? You can like not plan on getting a bunch of 6-up saves, but you can reasonably say, like, when you start losing dudes, you can be like, oh yeah, it's all part of the plan. Laugh it up. When I get to you, I'm gonna punch your face. That's how you play. And just the tail things. And with that, we can start. You can stop the contrast section of this and go into blocking off all the other colors, like the blue and all that kind of stuff. Let's see. Biggest bummer with the book for me has to be the Mega Boss and Brutes losing their synergy instead of reworking it. Yeah. I almost wish, to be perfectly honest, I wish in some ways that almost every book had the like entourage rule that Cities of Sigmar has. If you don't know what that is, basically you pick if your general has so many wounds, you pick a unit and they're like his entourage and they can like shrug wounds for him. Like basically you get someone you can shoot up. To me, I think that is like one of the coolest things rules wise ever, of just being able to make like a narrative unit to like follow your guys like that. So I don't know, that's always been one of my favorite things ever. And so I'm sad they lost it, like the access to those kinds of things, but like the synergy, I mean, between the boss and the brutes. I kind of wish they had something like that where you can make like these are my boys, right? The ones that follow me, kind of thing, and make them special. But I don't know. I'd even be cool if you like pick a single unit of brutes and they get that if they're near him. That'd be kind of a fun compromise. Dr. V, thank you so much. Oh my gosh. You only get $5. Those Cities of Sigmar have been great. I hope you are having a great evening. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm actually, sadly, because work has been so insane for me lately, and it's going to be this next week as well. Today was the last of the Cities of Sigmar videos for this week, but I have a whole list of all the little sub-factions I'm going to be covering here, and I'm working on those as quickly as I can. But I hope everyone's enjoying them. I got a lot of positive feedback on the ones I've done so far, so that's good. Spezia Doug, do you have, or are you going to get a Maw Crusher? Yeah, I have one right here. Let me show it to you. I've showed it off a few times here. But it is a purple Maw Crusher with a rider on top. I haven't gone back and done the white checkers and that kind of stuff that I've been doing like since I've been repainting the blue Iron Jaws. I like it so much more. The white helps really break out that color, so I need to do that on him. I'm going to do white checkers on his armor and then red checkers on the orange, kind of like they show in the book for the red variant. I don't know what they are. So yeah, that's my Maw Crusher. He's all good to go, pretty much. One of my favorite models. When I got it from Jack, he already had painted it purple. I don't know what scheme he was going to go for, but I liked the airbrush work he did so much. I was like, I'm not changing that. What am I going to do? It's better than that. That's awesome. I found out today that a Phoenix Guard entourage might be the coolest thing ever. Oh yeah, because they're an unstoppable amount of badass on their own, and then you let them tank for a hero, and you're like, whoa. What I learned today in our Discord was that you can have an assassin from the Free Peoples be your general, and I think that's the best because it's just ridiculous. So that was the Doug learning nugget of the day. Totally a bad idea, but sounds awesome. YR. Oh, thank you so much. Can't wait to see you play Unreal Ones. Aw, thank you. Y'all are being too kind to me tonight. And you have a wonderful evening. I know you have to scoot, but enjoy it. Let's see. As a primary destruction player, I've been enjoying New Orc War Clan a bit, quite a lot. I'll give up that synergy to gain dual Iron Jaws Bone Splitter forces. Yeah, I'm still wrapping my head around the kind of lists that can be built with the big WA, like allegiance. I'm not gonna lie, because like list building is just not my strong suit, like at all. But there's so many options available. You know what I mean? I don't know. The good thing is I think they're all keyworded to their respective factions very well. Like I don't see a whole lot of ambiguity of like, would this Bone Splitter spell affect this other guy? Like it's very clear if it would or it wouldn't. And I really do appreciate that, the way it was written. Because, you know, there's some of those books where they could cross something over and you'd be like, I don't understand how this would affect, you know, this other thing over here. I think for the most part. They also did a great job in that book and Cities of Sigmar, as I'm reading the rules, of like getting ahead of the curve on some FAQ questions. So like if it says like you do the speed guys, and they're like, it gives you +1 to their charge, and then in parentheses says, yes, this is in addition to the basic Iron Jaws get +1 to their charge. I'm like, thank you. Thank you for thinking of that ahead of time, because somebody was going to ask. And I noticed that a few times in both books of just, like I said, getting a little bit ahead of the questions. Let's see. Actually, Nomad Prince with a Phoenix Guard entourage and his little bird and his mini Phoenix. I love it. The War Clans, which has either your favorite color scheme, story, details? Let's see. In terms of color scheme, well, I mean, I went with one of them. The Chappas is the blue Iron Jaws theme. That definitely, I think it's very striking. My thing is, red on orcs, just it's too Christmassy for me, depending on the skin tone you go for. So I'm like, I've never quite been a fan of that. The yellow is obviously very striking, very iconic for the Iron Jaws. Very cool looking. But I just want to do something different, and I just didn't see a lot of people doing the checker pattern. So that was the idea there. As far as like the story and the lore, actually it is kind of the Chappas too. So their thing is unique about them is they are not led by a mega boss. They're actually led by a Weird Knob shaman, and on the tip of his staff is the skull of the last mega boss who didn't listen to him. So he's this super BA wizard, and that's why if you look at their rules, if you take a Weird Knob shaman as your general, you have to take a artifact or a trait. I can't think off the top of my head, but it basically gives him the mega boss keyword for the purposes of the big wall. So like he can be a mega boss when it comes time to get the troops rallied. And like, that's cool. Plays just like I'd imagine when it came to the lore. Like, yes. Let's see. Just finished painting Belisaria's Call, and he's by far my best work. That's awesome. That's an incredible model, too. Congrats. He's one of the ones I find very intimidating. Let's see. Part of that comes because I know that I hate doing sub-assemblies, and I think I've seen people try doing him like when he's complete. I think that one just kind of screams for sub-assemblies. I'm not sure how you did yours, but I'm sure it looks great. But I've just seen places get really hard to get to when you have them fully built. Let's see. Been receiving some rust stalkers. Unsure how to paint them. I'm leaning towards more of a brassy scheme. Cool. Well, I'm of the mind that there's not really a wrong way to paint them, because it all looks better than gray plastic. Paint him in 3 parts, bottom half, top. Oh, an axe. Yeah, right on. Let's see, I'm about to paint up another 6 Goregruntas to try out a 12 Goregrunta list. Love it. And a few more Ard Boys for a game this weekend. Nice. You know, after building these, I was like, you know, this kit's not too bad in terms of like build, because I hate building models, so it wasn't too bad. The only thing I had trouble with was the ears on one of them. But I could do a Goregrunta list. I'm not sure how good it would be, but honestly, I think most of the ways you would build an army in this battle tome seem to have some kind of game. What are you listening to? There we go. It's not so much music as it is a series of sounds. Okay. So Goregruntas is my favorite. Yeah. Not sure if they changed in the new tome. They did change a little bit, I think, for the better. Basically, they gave new life to the polearm weapon. So it used to just be like it gave you extra range, but now it gives you range and a bonus on the charge. So if you're planning to be very, very aggressive with your gruntas, you're kind of rewarded for taking those because you can get your guys, I think it's like to a 2 up, 2 up when they come smashing in with that particular weapon. Yeah, just nuts. So they can do all kinds of cool stuff. Their battalion is, it's not the same because it used to give you like I think like an 18-inch move or something like that. Now it's now you just make a normal move, which is cool. You know, still great. But then you can also, if you have a hero nearby, you can still do the Mighty Destroyer's move. So it ends up being not too dissimilar. Like that I can turn one of the Gunta's units by my boss. Yeah. I think it's the Bloodtooths is kind of the, like lore-wise, the Grunta themed speed dudes. And they're pretty sweet. They have this cool command ability where basically if you fought in the last combat phase or at the end of the combat phase, if you have fought and you're free, meaning you killed whatever you were punching, you can basically make a bonus move, which is so cool. So basically the idea is like you smash something and you can go further behind enemy lines to find more stuff to smash. Like that's a cool sounding. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think, what was the last battle tome that came out before Cities of Sigmar and Orc War Clans? Was it Slaanesh? I can't recall. The reason I'm saying this is I feel like, maybe it was just me. I know at least one other person has expressed this as well. That like the game was just sort of in a little rut, you know, just a lot of the same stuff out there because they weren't releasing a ton of things, and then it just kicked into high gear with these two books, and a lot of people, like myself included, are like, yes! Slaanesh, thank you. Kenzie, is smashing and bashing still a thing? Yes, it is. It's still the best thing. Currently building my first Maw Crusher. Goregruntas are up next. Sweet. Yeah, I wish I had more time to kind of give these guys a little bit more of a dedicated treatment, but basically the way this event works is like you can play with unpainted models, but you're not eligible for anything. And I'm always trying to get my favorite player vote, so I want to have them painted. I want to do that. Let's see. Okay, just making sure I didn't miss any questions. Building 4 armories simultaneously is quite a hit on the wallet. Oh dang, I couldn't imagine. I just have the Maggotkin and these guys, which is really the first time I've ever had 2 army projects going on at once. And I'm already like feeling overwhelmed. I'm like, I don't want anyone to think that I dropped the Maggotkin. But it's like, yeah, I gotta do what I'm excited about as well. And then I'll be taking on painting for a friend here in a little bit with some Seraphon, sounds like. So that'll throw people for a loop. But I think every time I paint the Seraphon, I'm just going to be telling people, like, oh, you switched armies already? I'm like, yep, 100%. Just totally just anyone who's late to the party with hearing that I'm doing it for somebody else just thinks I'm just doing it again. Up to my usual antics. Kind of Seraphon list. So I know there's 40, like 2 units at 20 skinks. It's basically just trying to get him help to get it to like 1K games. So it's not very massive a project. I'm not actually sure what's all in it. I think there's 2 Star Priests, I think. Zombie man, moving soon, going through all your stuff and cutting out bits. That's the worst. I think that is the most annoying chore there is. Moving, but also cutting out all the bits. Let's see. Sucks, but painting up my Ambleguard army has rekindled my love. Oh, awesome. For the Annals of Hellhammer. Am I painting 2 armies now? Help. That's funny. Yeah, I'm all about... I think... So, when I went into the Cities of Sigmar book, I was like, oh, I'm all about Ambleguard. Ambleguard's the coolest thing, because like, there's the shady ones. And then I read... For the lore videos, I read all the stuff for Greywater Fastness. I'm like, no, these guys are the way coolest. I love it. And I looked at their uniforms, and it's like the yellow and the gray. I was like, oh, this even looks like old Empire stuff. This is legit. So right now, that's my current favorite. I don't think I'd want an army of Greywater Fastness. Like, well... That's not true. I would love an army of them, but shooting has never been a thing that really excites me about this game. Because I like, my favorite part of the game is just the combat phase, where like, you and your opponent are both trying to decide like, oh, what unit should I do to have like fight and that kind of stuff. So, just deleting options is not typically my favorite thing. Keep one army that I'm painting to a very high level, and one army that I am painting play at all times. That's, I guess, kind of what I accidentally fell into, where my Maggotkin are they're a painting project first, army second, and then I have these guys, which are a army to play first. Painting is more for efficiency and getting it done rather than going to win an award or anything like that. Because I actually downloaded the painting rubric that a gentleman, Evan, who runs a lot of events locally, he used to judge painting, like when I brought my Stormcast a while back. So I downloaded that, and I was like, okay, this is going to be my checklist for like my Maggotkin, and that includes everything from like models, but like custom objective markers and that kind of thing. And like he gets really into it. And so I was like, yes, this is good for me. Gives me a nice little thing to check off. Let's see. Candy Floss Goblins, Soul Drinker Stormcast. Nice. I think KO versus Zinch in December. You mean like those two battle tomes being released in December? I would like that. What are some other battle tomes that need to be updated to have everything be in second? I'm trying to remember. Someone else's last stream. I know there's Seraphon. I know there's Carrigan Overlords. Not stuff that needs a new battle, like a first battle tome like Ogres. Seraphon, yeah. Beastclaw, okay, yep. Yeah. Because they're an existing one. Even if they roll them into Ogres or Mod Tribes or like that still needs a battle tome. Okay. I forget that Everchosen exists sometimes. You are 100% correct. Maybe GW does too every once in a while. They forget they exist. Have you ever ran Braggett's Beast Hammer? Braggett's Beast Hammer. Is that the one, like the battalion where you can bring like Goregruntas and I don't remember what goes with it. What is the beast thing? I can't remember off the top of my head. To answer your question, no. Seems how I don't know what is in it. Let's see. Varen, guard my wallet. Let's see. Marcus. I'm sorry, no, Timothy. Will you base the Boar Boys? Oh, yeah. Yeah. So they basically, the bases I did for the rest of the Iron Jaws, it's very simple. I tried to make them look like they're from Gur, and if you've ever seen the cover art for the old Bone Splitters book, or I guess the old Iron Jaws one as well, when they show like the plains of Gur, at least those specific ones, it's always like this kind of golden, almost amber-esque dirt. And so basically I used the, whatever they are, Dunes texture paint from GW, gave it a yellow wash, and dry brush with Screaming Skull, and it comes out to be pretty darn cool. I don't know how well it'll show up here, but it does have the intensity of the Cassandora yellow really shines through. And so, I don't know. No, it looks more like Xandru Dust on the camera, so it doesn't quite show up as well, but it's more yellow, and so it matches what you see in the pictures. Oh, the Mercenary Company. Oh, yeah. No, I never have. For some reason, there used to be a battalion where, like, was it Ogres could take, like, 3 units of Gruntas, and there was, like, here's a reason, and they just didn't really give you any reason, lore-wise. I can't remember what that was, but no, I never tried that one. I only tried Mercenaries once, and it was a Rerolling One's battle report, where I played... Actually, I think I played my Iron Jaws. I think I did, back when Jack still had them. It was my Iron Jaws versus Corn, and I took the Flesh Eater Quartz one because Jack had everything for it. And that was really the big reason. Just to try it. I liked it. I mean, I don't think we'll see a lot of mercenaries, mainly because most armies, like, command points are so important. Like, I don't know. As I'm thinking about my lists, like, for these things, like, Iron Jaws are, like, very command point starved. I can't really imagine giving up one, but there might be reasons. What's the name of those pen-like brushes? They are from Games and Gears. I picked them up when I was at Nova because the owner was very, very cool. I always try to support people. Plus, I got tired of always buying Hobby Lobby brushes, or just hobby store brushes. Oop. Just going through, painting some britches. Let's see. Question: do you think mercenary companies will be in next year's GHB? Honestly, with how much they're releasing, I don't know what's going to be in the next GHB. Because, I mean, I hope to goodness there's going to be a Seraphon Battle Tome and all that kind of stuff out by next July. Maybe? Maybe. And that's the thing, is I'm not sure what it would take to see more of them taken. I don't know. Blightscreed, did you hear about the price hike on the next 40k dual box? Yeah, we talked about it a little bit yesterday, and so if you don't know, like, I think it was at $230 that in US dollars that the Eldar Dark Eldar box is going for in 40k. And I had this thought as I was kind of processing that, because they're not I don't think it is a sign of all prices for 2 army boxes in the future. I'm not convinced of that yet. And the reason I say that is because it packs, supposedly, I don't know, I haven't seen the contents of it, or I don't have an Eldar player around who's like getting jazzed about it. But it has stuff for existing armies to be able to play in new and creative ways as part of this grander campaign or whatever like that. And so, that's the thing, is like, okay, is this, instead of seeing it as a 2-player, like, entry-level thing, because all, like, Loon Curse and all kind of stuff, they came with the core rules and just to help people learn to play the game kind of thing. Instead of that, maybe they're treating it like a new kind of product where it is more directed at people who are already playing the game, and it is more of an expansion for 2 armies than it is like get started here with your buddy kind of thing. So I don't know. I mean, it doesn't necessarily justify the price, but it would make me feel like, oh, okay, this is pricing for a different kind of product, right? Like, I don't know. So I'm torn about it. I'm not convinced that it's a sign of all products in the future, though. That's kind of the short of it. I think there's still, because it's so different from the other things that we've seen in terms of like what it offers for players who already play those armies, instead of giving new players or people who are onboarding to a new army. So that's why I don't I try not to jump to conclusions when it comes to like, what, price shock, you know. Because the best way to deal with that is also the cheapest, which is to just don't buy it. I don't know. For me, mainly because it's tied. It's tied to the campaign, right? That's the thing that makes it. I just think it's a different product than the other 2-player sets we've had before. I don't have any confirmation of that. I don't talk to anybody at GW. They just send me a thing here and there. There's no like back and forth dialogue that I can ask somebody, hey, what you guys doing? We were all thinking you could not raise the prices. That would go over really well. There we go, Sagor. My current rate should be done in January. Nice. Oh, 2K Seraphon list before the book comes out. Nice. Did a fair breakdown of the contents, and I guess the came up with this $249 for the box. Interesting. I don't know. I do suspect the daughter's box will be pretty darn pricey. I'm not gonna lie. I don't have a whole lot of hope there. Just because I think it's a put up or shut up moment for all the people who've been like, give me sisters for the last 17 years. Either way, I'm excited. Yeah, the number of people who seem very deeply excited about that army just astounds me. I mean, I don't know, because when I was doing 40K stuff like in high school, nobody talked about sisters, so I just kind of blew my mind. I don't know, when I was coming back into it, I was just kind of shocked. Then again, I was also in San Antonio. They're just different crowds. We weren't connected on the online as much. Nearly as much. Let's see, birthday soon. I was hoping to get 2. Just have to wait and see, I guess. Nice. Well, happy almost soon birthday. I don't know. I mean, you know, if nothing else, they're doing some serious justice with those models. Stick with the one and wait on a multi-pose kit later. Good call. I wonder how far they'll go with the sisters, and by that I mean like will we ever see kind of what they did with like what do you call them, Mechanicus, where like they used You know, just a random couple of those sprues to be like, hey, here's a kill team starter set. Those kinds of things where they get kind of, you know, eventually over time, because it took like 3 years for them to do that with the Mechanica stuff, but eventually are just become very ubiquitous in the army or in the game, I mean. And they're just kind of, there's a few places to get cool stuff, and they kind of use it as a tool for like, hey, getting different kinds of fresh blood. And I don't just mean like females, just the gothic style of the nuns with guns just really does appeal to different kinds of people. I'd like to see that. I mean, eventually, honestly, I'd love to see them do like 2-player starter boxes for all of their factions that exist, because they just make cool stuff, and I want more ways to get into cool stuff. Kind of hoping the Black Templar rules are true as well. Yeah. Oh, I do know the Black Templars, and they are legit. We have a local player who has Black Templars. They're awesome. Let's see. Boxes probably make sense as the best way to push new sculpts for them. Yeah, you know, especially when they do kind of what they've been doing, which is just like, hey, our team made this one hero model. We could sell this one hero model, or we could stick that hero model in a box with a bunch of other stuff that we want to move and clear out the warehouse. And you know, a lot of people complain about that way of like selling things, like, you know, how come I can't buy the Tree Revenant dude by himself? And like, I'm cool with it as a sales strategy for a bit, but I do think that like after like, you know, a month or two, those models should be available on their own. That's where they kind of lose me, where it's like, okay, we're still waiting on buying the Tree Revenant. Sylvaneth book was extra super delayed, so I feel like there's more time to get him out. Maybe he's also stuck in customs hell. Who knows? Waiting a year for the Arch Revenant is a bit much. Yeah, and that's kind of what I thought. Like, when I think about the value in those 2 starter boxes, you get a unique model for starting a new army, or expanding an existing army. And, you know, you get early access to a model that should be out for people pretty soon who already bought into it. I think a good example, like, I feel like the time that we saw the new Necron not wizard guy, a Necrotech, I don't know what he is called, in 40k when that guy came out, and between the time where he was actually released on his own, I feel like that was a pretty acceptable amount of time. It was not very long. I was like, okay. So it's just kind of like an early access thing, and then people who already own the stuff can, if they didn't feel like, you know, making their armies bigger, can get it later on. But yeah, a year is a bit much. Seraphon's been around for a while. They had enough trouble with their book getting hung up, and Doug, what primer did you use on your Iron Jaws? I used Gray Seer, so I could do the contrast on the fur. Let's see. Nice thing is once the blue's on him, he'll start to feel like he's getting there, you know? That's the thing. Like once you cover up all those messy bits with the armor plating, it's when you feel like you're making progress. King Bread, Doug, why never airbrush? I don't know. Honestly, I don't have anything against airbrushing. Like I'm not like one of those snobs who's like, ugh, use an airbrush. It's just honestly when it comes to like spending money on it, every time I'm like ready to buy an airbrush, something more interesting comes up, and I'm just like, meh. And then I see some of my friends sometimes like really struggle with constantly cleaning the thing, and it gets jammed up all the time, and it's just like, it seems like a hassle. But I've heard multiple times, so like people telling like, "Oh yeah, you gotta try it." Got mine from Hobby Lobby, 30% off coupon. Nice. I don't know what it is. I don't know. I also just I enjoy brush painting. It took me so long to learn how to do this as to the extent that I like it. You know, like to get to a skill level that I'm happy with. I feel like airbrushing, you know, it's a whole different beast. I feel like I'd be starting all over. Mm-hmm. Best thing for priming and varnishing. Oh, that's fair. At some point I'll get there. I'll get to the point where I want to experiment with something else. Okay. And you still paint with a brush most of the way. Okay, that's cool. But yeah, I know. There's a lot of stuff I need to explore more of when it comes to the painting and modeling side. It's, you know, I really am like, once I learn what I like, I tend to just stick to it. Kind of like, you know, it took me maybe a couple weeks with the contrast paint to learn like the combinations of colors that I really like, and now it's just like that's just what I do. It's hard because, like, for me, painting isn't just. It's, I don't know, I'm all over the place. So, like, I think my asset of painting is, like, I really focus on efficiency. Like, what's the quickest way to get blank effect, right, across how many models? At the same time, it's also, like, my main means of relaxation. And so it's one of those things like, I don't know, I always feel like I need to explore new things. I want to, sometimes. But it's not this pressure that I have like, oh, I need to get better at painting. It's like, no. Just do what I do and it'll happen over time. Which drives some people crazy. But, it is what it is. It's me. Started drawing again for Inktober. Sweet. Do you find that relaxing? My wife's thing is writing. Okay. God awful, but feel inspired. That's all that matters, man. Nobody started anything good. Well, I mean, being good at it. Suppose you could start an activity being morally good. I think I may have underestimated how many panels and things are on this guy. This might take a little more time than I thought. Awesome artist skills. Love your lore videos too. Oh, thank you so much. It's very kind of you to say. Got King Brad painting up Corvus Cabal. Sweet. I like them. The Corvus Cabal, the way they play. I have decided, like, the reason I haven't had done another battle report yet is because the games that I have played, because I only own the graveyard terrain that's built and painted, they really struggle without at least 2-story terrain. Something to get them some bonuses, because, like, they're just kind of like sad pandas if they can't jump off stuff. They gotta do the big caca and pounce on unsuspecting prey, otherwise they just kind of hit like a soft pillow and die in droves. I was playing against my buddy Ben locally, and so the whole thing was I'm trying to like kill 2 of his team, the dagger, and they came on the board round 2. I knew exactly where they were coming in, and I definitely had the speed to get there, right? Like, all right, Corvus Cabal. And it turns out his dagger was 2 Kineri, which ended up being really rough. I was like, okay, I got this. And so basically, with my 9 dude warband, I just started throwing chumps at his Kinerai, locking him down in combat. And then the bird lady has an ability where you can keep a unit from retreating. And so basically I just kept locking these two down, making sure they couldn't back out between model placements and that ability. And so basically the way the mission worked is at the end of the fourth turn, if they're within 4 inches of the board edge, they count as being dead, so I would win. And of course on round 4, he ate my entire army in that corner. And so, because they just don't have any punch. I didn't kill a single Canary. I was just trying to pin him down, and it just did not work. I didn't have enough blood to give. Although I did have a Spire Stalker cut 2 Daughters of Cain in half in one turn. That was pretty cool. The Big Caca trademark. Oh, you don't even know. Big Caca is coming at you because I have something very special from my friends at Nova. A joke that started as we were drinking one game night has turned into something quite fun that I think you'll enjoy. Involving the Big Caca. Your next conversion project should be an army shaped like 2-story terrain. 2 birds, 1 stone. There we go. That's my Gargants from the land of Hish, where everything's right angles. Doug, it's just a building. No. It's a Gargant. Do we have video of this phenomenon? Yes, but I don't have it yet. Video is taken, but I do not personally have the video file. Coming along. So after this, I have to go back over it with, I think Techless Blue is the lighter blue that I used, but this is just a good base paint. I don't know. I mean, I probably should have done the blue they recommended. Maybe I would have liked it more on the first try, but basically they gave me the suggestion they gave in the old Iron Jaws book for this scheme was pretty much just the same way you paint Ultramarines. And it just looked so dark. I was like, no, I didn't care for it. This is the base for that same thing. I just didn't care for it. That's why I kept going brighter, and then I went too bright where I had no highlights and no depth. I was like, oh, okay, I gotta back that up a little bit. I'll be honest, as a testament to how good I think the Orc book is, I never thought I'd be painting more of these guys. Thought when I was done with the blue scheme, I was like, I'm never doing that again. And here I am, doing it again. But yeah, so what is everyone else working on at this point? Yeah, basically I'm going to put a Crag blue down and then go Techless blue, and then there's another one I use, Temple Guard blue for the highlights, for all the little like jagged lines in the armor. And then that's pretty much it. And it's just the checker patterns, which take a little bit of time. Playing Fire Emblem 3 Houses on second playthrough. Nice. I know Kenzie is a Fire Emblem fan as well. Never played them. I should get one. I have a DS. I should definitely get it. Right now I'm revisiting my not childhood. I was a little bit older than that, but playing Advanced Wars. The one they have for DS is just so good. I love Advanced Wars. Let's see. Working on my mini Airwa. What's an Airwa? Advanced Wars Black Sun? Nah, that's the one I played before. What I'm playing now is Dual Strike. Let's see. The last of my 9 Vanguard Raptors. Nice. Black Sun was boss. Hard to argue. I will say I'm painfully American when it comes to the lore. You know, like I was like, I just want to play the game and get to the action, and they're like, let's talk about the exciting lives of these 12-year-olds who we've suddenly put in charge of our military. And you're like, everyone shut up. Build me a tank. Fetch me a beer. Aeronautica Imperialis Orc Squadron. Oh, cool, yeah. I forgot there was orcs in that. Yeah, I've only ever seen people talk about the Imperial planes. There was lore. They talk enough, my goodness. Hey sis, do you think you have what it takes to defeat this army? Okay, let's test our strength by having real men die on the battlefield just to see if I can work for you. You're like, what the heck? Who thought of this? 12-year-olds. They're not actually 12. I'm sure they're supposed to be older than that. Maybe not. I don't know. Things get... I don't try to ask too many questions when it comes to foreign cultures, appropriation of childhood and warfare. No, dog, it's supposed to represent the stealing of their innocence in this evil war machine. You're like, yeah, but that's a kid with kid problems. I don't relate. Seems like you could have just not made it a kid. Seems like maybe this 12-year-old shouldn't be running your military. Seem to have set yourselves back a bit. That's why I say I'm painfully American. Where it's like, you know, there's all those kinds of like, man, this is like subtle artistry. It has so much grand commentary. And it's just like, nah. I'm the one who won that fight. I have played the game. Alright, friends. I'm actually going to go ahead and pause here for the night, just because I'm running out of steam. My voice is going little bit weak on me. The kid holding the huge wrench. Yes, Andy is his name. That is more than enough to put him Italian. I love it. Pagan Soul. Yes, I'm doing the Choppas. I'm doing the Choppas War Clan, or what it's called. Because most of my stuff, I'll grab a random dude just to show it off. He's already painted like that, and I'll hold it up here. So here's a Brute. I added some orange accents. You get the checkers along the back. So that is the plan. Orange just makes a nice pop. So Denver Bronco Orcs for the win. Anyway, friends, thank you so much for hanging out with me. And my next video should be up on... I think I'll do another live stream on Saturday. I have to work Friday because work's crazy right now. And there'll be more videos for lore up next week. Hitting it heavy with Iron Jaws and Cities of Sigmar. So yeah, catch you all very, very soon.